All right, and we're back with the show and the second part of our Made TV update because another major network has made decisions on what shows they're keeping and what shows they're not. And I'm so happy about one of them. One of them I get to go ahead and tease my friends at the TVRatingsGuide.com because they had earmarked this show for most likely cancellation. So I get to tease them coming up here in a second. But first, she is back once again. Yeah, hint is right. Hint is right. But first, once again, it is the great place known as the TVRatingsGuide.com. You got to go ahead and check out all the great things they're doing, including renew cancel indexes, which 99% of the time they're usually right on. So everybody goes ahead and checks out what shows that are likely leaning towards cancellation, what likely are leaning towards renewal. Then also as well, the great original shows, reviews of popular television shows that are out there, and so much more. You got to check out what they're doing today at the TVRatingsGuide.com. But it all starts with their lead writer, Jessica Boggs. Jessica, thanks for coming back for part 2. And yes, hint, hint, it's Stumptown for ABC among a vast majority of the shows. I'm just going to say right off the bat, I'm assuming the majority of the shows, including Stumptown, the decision was made because of COVID.
I'm thinking it's not just that, but I feel like the general trend seems to be that in-house productions are going to get a boost.
Okay.
I mean, we all had this gut feeling Stumptown was going to get renewed for a profit versus rating standpoint rather than ratings.
Because they've done also well during the 3 and 7 day delayed. We were going on and on about how well they were doing, not at the original point of viewing, but delayed viewing. They were one of the top shows on there.
Well, yeah, that's also correct. Which I don't think it gets the blame in this situation. So ABC decided to cancel the Wednesday comedies, Single Parents and Schooled. So the Wednesday comedy block is pretty much donezo on ABC, but we'll see how that goes.
Okay. All right.
Like I said, Stumptown was one of the 11 shows that got renewed.
Mm-hmm. Okay. And yeah, among the other shows that were renewed were, I'll give you the list right here for everyone out there: American Housewife,
Yes.
The Bachelor, Blackish, The Connors, Dancing with the Stars, The Goldbergs, A Million Little Things, Mixed-ish, The Rookie, Shark Tank, of course I said Stumptown, Who Wants to Be a Millionaire, and for the 500th season in a row, 2020. And I'm just kidding on that, but they've been on forever, seemingly. And these shows join what they're talking about with the other shows that are being previously renewed. Like Grey's Anatomy was already renewed, Station 19, The Good Doctor, America's Funniest Home Videos. Funny how that show's still around, and only part of it is on Disney Plus, which is so weird. American Idol and The Bachelorette were already previously renewed, so that's pretty good right there for you. And then Supermarket Sweep, which is going to be hosted by Leslie Jones, that was given a summer time frame for next year.
Oh yes. So for mid-season decisions have yet to be made for Life and The Baker and the Beauty, which my guess is this will probably be an inclusive or type situation in which you can see both getting renewed, one getting renewed, or both getting canceled. In addition, ABC ordered 2 new shows to join its lineup, which would be The Big Sky and Call Your Mother. The latter show stars Kira Sedgwick as an empty nester mom who wonders how she ended up alone while her children live their best lives thousands of miles away.
Well, that's one thing I wanted to ask you is there's only, like you said, as of this point in time, 2 shows that were added on by the network. That is an extremely low number, and of course, it leads back to all those shows being renewed by ABC. It just seems to be, yes, COVID could be part of the reason, but I also think as well that ABC is on an uptick as far as their ratings are concerned. I think there's a little bit of more hope there than the doom and gloom you and I have been reporting on since actually we first started talking about this, because ABC was on a downswing on its ratings for years. I think there's a sign of hope for people, for fans out there of ABC.
Yeah, but you can also look at it from a profits standpoint too, especially since Blackish is in syndication and American Housewife may be getting ready to be in syndication. And so it also depends on the deals that ABC is making.
Is that your fire alarm?
Yeah, that's a fire alarm.
Okay, I was just gonna say it's your update is so hot it's setting off the fire alarm right now. So there you go. But right, I just yeah, like I said, there's a lot to talk about when it comes to ABC, and NBC is another network that we're kind of on the fence on, not sure of exactly 100% which shows they're committing to. So NBC, I want to hear your thoughts on exactly which shows that you think, or some of which I'm sure have already gotten renewal already, like This Is Us and a couple others that are pretty much a done deal for renewal. But there, for a lot of others, they're still up in the air. So I'd like to hear your thoughts on which ones you think will be renewed.
Well, I most of the shows I really don't think will get renewed, though it seems like the longer it goes for NBC, the more uncertain that their fates are going to be. And so the full shows that were renewed were given multi-season renewals, like Law and Order SVU and everything else. And they've already renewed Good Girls, and they did not renew any of the other shows like Zoe's Extraordinary Playlist. So basically the only show that they renewed out of the mid-season shows so far is Good Girls. And judging from The Wall and its performance, it's doing terrible. I mean, it hit a new series low of a 0.2, and the one that they count as a special did actually better than the actual original episode. So that's bad news for The Wall in general.
And one of the things I wanted to ask you, could the HBO Max, the startup of HBO Max, which is something that we're talking about on today's show, uh, with me and Noah and Ian Fine stepping in, could that be something that is hindering this process as far as, because obviously HBO, there's a little bit of tie in there with Universal, not too much, mind you, but with HBO, Warner Brothers, and all that, there could be a little bit of tie in. Could that be holding up the final decisions being made for the NBC shows? Because Peacock is so much, I mean, could Peacock or HBO Max be somewhat in the way? Because obviously Peacock's tie into Universal and all the NBC shows, but there's a little bit sprinkling of NBC shows in HBO Max as well.
Oh, yeah, it could be a little bit of both because Peacock's release has been delayed, whereas HBO Max is on time. And a lot of these shows were already produced for HBO Max.
Okay.
It's just
Okay.
we're still waiting on the release date for Peacock at this point.
Well, I'll tell you what, there's a lot to talk about, especially, like I said, for NBC that still has yet to make some final decisions. I think their association with Peacock and what they want to go ahead and keep long term for that outlet and is weighing heavily on what they're going to go ahead doing forward. These streaming networks that they're all popping up around this time, I don't think it's a coincidence that all this stuff is happening right around the time these networks, these streaming networks are coming into vogue as well. So I know HBO Max is now out as we talk about this, and they're going to weigh a heavy factor. Peacock to a lesser extent, I think, because they just don't have as much in the library that's appealing to everyone out there. Although they're going to have a lot more free content that's available than what HBO Max would provide. HBO Max wants to hit you hard with a lot of great things that are going to try and compare with Netflix. They're comparing, of course, on the price, of course, but we'll have to see on the content. But yeah, there's a lot to think about when it comes to what shows on broadcast television are going to remain around as we see more and more invested into the streaming markets going forward.
Oh yeah, definitely. Sorry
So,
for the 2 seconds of dead air.
no worries. So I want to ask you this before we head on out for our May TV update. And once again, I'm with Jessica Boggs from the TVRatingsGuide.com. I want to ask you this. Is there anything else out there in the world of television you want to go ahead and report on before you come back here in a couple of weeks with your June TV update?
Well, there's really not much at the moment besides the WWE ratings in general. I mean, they're still on the decline, but it's still pretty much stabilized because of the lack of live audience.
Yeah. So I'll tell you what. When you come back in June, we'll go ahead and report more on the fun goings on with the professional wrestling ratings because it's always a good conversation because unfortunately, or maybe fortunately, I have so much to say when it comes to the professional wrestling ratings that are out there, seemingly every time you bring it up. But there's so much more out there as far as what's coming up on cable, the broadcast networks for the summer, because it's to me one of the most important summers in a long time for the broadcast networks because more people are at home because of the coronavirus outbreak. So more people can watch television. So I think that's going to be a bigger summer than what was expected before.
Oh, and one more thing. Rick and Morty's ratings have been on a decline, but they're still one of the biggest rated shows on cable, especially on animated.
That doesn't surprise me in the least. If you're a Rick and Morty fan, yeah, that doesn't surprise you in the least. Well, I'll tell you what, Jessica Boggs, it's just been great having you on the show. Anything you're working on, your podcast, or any articles that you're working on before we head on out?
Well, we do have TVRGO shows in the pipeline, and we also have Summer Renew Cancel in the pipeline. And I'm still doing a little bit of experimentation on the podcast and see what topics I'm going to cover besides television.
Well, there you go.
Stay tuned for that.
Stay tuned for that indeed on Jessica's show, which you can get on Anchor, Spotify, and Apple Podcasts, and pretty much every major podcast app that's out there. It's a great listen. You got to go ahead and check her show out wherever she goes ahead and drops a new episode. That's Jessica's show. And of course, check out her work today at theTVRatingsGuide.com. You know, you got to talk to them about sending some sponsorship money over there.
Yeah.
I'm gonna get or maybe some Joe Rogan money for Spotify. Yeah, there you go. I'm trying hard to get that 100 million, but it doesn't seem to come my way. But oh well. Need I digress. Once again, it's Jessica Boggs. And Jessica, I will tell you what, it's just always awesome. This was a part 2 for your May TV update, but I cannot thank you enough, and I will be seeing you in June right here at the Pop Culture Cosmos.